headlines of this hour on VTV News. Agricultural exports show strong growth potential. And a brilliant Thang drone performance lights up Hanoi sky with 2,000 drones for Tet holiday. In our world news, Russian economic growth reaches highest level in last decade.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. local time and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyền Trân with the top stories. National Assembly Chairman Vương Đình Huệ visited the Nghệ An Provincial Police on Thursday morning to extend New Year greetings. The top legislator praised the achievements of the Provincial Police Force in 2023, including their effective implementation of measures to combat crime. As a result, crime rates have decreased, surpassing the targets set by the National Assembly. The number of traffic accidents, fatalities, and injuries has also declined. It is worth noting that the Nghệ An Provincial Police rank first in administrative reform within the force, according to the Ministry of Public Security. The National Assembly Chairman also outlined a future task, emphasizing the importance of strict compliance with Directive Number 26 of the Secretariat in order to maintain social security and order. Since the beginning of this year, numerous businesses have signed export orders for vegetables, rice, and coffee. This is a promising start that indicates the growth potential of the agricultural sector for this year.
Recently, numerous rice businesses have successfully secured bids for large export contracts in various key markets, despite the high rice prices. Notably, South Korea has granted Vietnam a rice export quota of over 55,000 tons. Additionally, Vietnamese businesses have won a bid to export 300,000 tons of rice to Indonesia, representing almost half of the country's desired rice import volume for the first month of the year.
In the context where Indonesia does not have many high-quality rice varieties, Vietnam needs to improve the quality of its exported rice. It is also important for businesses to focus on promoting rice-based products.
Recently, China agreed to open its market to Vietnamese avocados and passion fruits. Additionally, this market reviewed documents permitting the export of poultry products. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development is also actively promoting the opening of new importing countries, including the Middle East and Africa.
Trade promotion is still a very important factor, based on promoting 16 new generation FTAs. The market is the driving force of production. All industries must move towards a green economy, circular economy, and reduce emissions in accordance with the general trend.
The agricultural industry has identified this year as a period of acceleration and breakthrough. Positive outcomes from the outset will serve as the foundation for higher targets in agricultural, forestry, and fishery exports expected to be achieved by 2024.
Vietnam's agro-forestry fishery exports in January witnessed a remarkable growth of 80%, reaching $5.14 billion. Particularly, the trade surplus in this sector reached $1.43 billion, marking a 4.6-fold increase. This result can be attributed to higher export volumes across all product routes. Among the three largest markets, China accounted for 23% of the exports, experiencing a significant growth of 107% compared to the same period. The United States accounted for nearly 1%, while Japan accounted for 7.4%. Last year, Vietnam faced several challenges in its seafood exports, including increasing trade barriers and issues with the IUU yellow card. However, there have been recent positive changes in seafood exports, bringing new hope and expectations for businesses and the people involved.
After a prolonged period of decline last year, seafood exports reached $730 million in January, representing a 60% increase compared to the same period. The main export products, including raw fish and shrimp, all recorded growth rates of over 50%. These figures serve as evidence that import markets are recovering.
In the coming months, inventories in major markets such as China, the EU, and the US will be depleted, leading to the recovery of export prices from the second quarter and export momentum for the second half of the year.
Demands from foreign markets are slowly recovering, particularly during year-end festivals. Businesses are also striving to expand their market share in traditional markets.
We are focusing on demanding markets such as South Korea, which imports whole shrimp that do not have 7 types of diseases.
These figures serve as evidence that import markets are recovering. In addition to expanding to new markets, businesses are also seeking to diversify their market portfolio by investing in modern machinery. This investment aims to improve preservation and preliminary processing capabilities.
For this 4-star product, we use modern equipment from Japan to preserve the quality of fish products. This will help us produce better products.
The efforts of businesses to expand the market and improve the competitiveness of Vietnamese seafood, coupled with the opportunity to have the IUU yellow card removed this year, will enable the industry to re-enter the export race.
Businesses in many industrial parks in Thừa Thiên Huế province are actively seeking human resources to meet production demands at the beginning of the year. Textile companies in particular are recruiting an average of 1,500 to 1,800 workers for sewing, cutting, and fabric spreading positions. These new recruits will start working immediately after the 2024 Lunar New Year holiday. The average monthly salary for these positions is approximately $307. Most textile companies in Thừa Thiên Huế province have already received orders for the entire year, with some have enough orders to sustain their workforce until May of this year, providing income security for nearly 2,000 workers. Now let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate of today, February 8th. Coming up next on VTV News. Tân Sơn Nhất Airport receives record high 135,000 passengers. And a brilliant Thang drone performance lights up Hanoi sky with 2,000 drones for Tet holiday. Welcome back to VTV News. Quảng Ngãi Provincial Police recently made bánh chưng and bánh tét and gifted them to the needy in the highland areas. This gesture is meant to share the burden with struggling locals so that they can have a more fulfilling Tet celebration. In Sơn Tây District, officers and soldiers ventured into the forest to gather zong leaves and contributed sticky rice, green beans, and money to purchase ingredients for making bánh chưng and bánh tét. Hundreds of pairs of bánh chưng were distributed to the Ca Dông people residing in the area. Additionally, the police and local youth unions organized cultural exchanges and enjoyable folk games to celebrate Tet. Now, after the Tet holiday, localities will start summoning citizens to fulfill their military service obligations. Currently, young men who have been admitted to military service in 2024 are enjoying a warm Tet celebration with their families before departing for duty. Filled with youthful enthusiasm, the elite young men of Đồng Nai are filled with joy and prepared to embark on their missions.
After the Lunar New Year holiday, these young men will be enlisting in the army. Despite having a stable salary working for a business, Nghĩa has a strong desire to contribute to the military. Encouraged by his family, he has written a volunteer application to join the army.
I personally realized that participating in military service is not only a responsibility, but also an honor and source of pride. I can contribute my intelligence and strength to protect the homeland.
This year, Bien Hoa City has seen nearly 500 young people joining the army. Half of them possesses intermediate college or university degrees. The locality has implemented military recruitment through various methods and have also focused on implementing favorable military rear policies.
We meet the military concentration targets every year. This is the effort of all relevant levels and units.
A new spring has arrived, coinciding with the time when young people enlist in the army. They will now undertake the great responsibility of building and protecting the country.
To ensure the safety of the people during the Tet holidays, the armed forces nationwide have proactively deployed air defense plans. Currently, the entire air defense forces have positioned themselves to quickly respond to any situation. Their goal is to ensure the safety of their respective areas and maintain overall peace for the people during the biggest celebration of the year.
At the high command of the Vietnam People's Air Force, all units have been ordered to be prepared for combat in the event that unregistered aircraft are detected. Their tasks include checking the artillery, tracking targets, and destroying flying devices that illegally enter the unit's management area in the shortest possible time. This mission requires the highest level of concentration.
The gunner's mission is to always be vigilant and ready to engage in combat. They must be agile, accurate, and ensure absolute safety for themselves and their teammates.
When it comes to high-altitude, long-range targets, the missile controller's skillful hands are required. They are also imbued with a strong sense of combat readiness.
The role of a missile controller is an indispensable part of the combat crew, especially in searching, tracking, and destroying targets that violate the battalion's airspace.
We have reviewed, adjusted, supplemented, and extensively practiced combat plans to monitor situations in the air, ground, and sea. This includes monitoring airspace and flight activities at all altitudes.
In the days leading up to Tet, the Air Defense Forces are diligently rehearsing combat readiness plans. The task of protecting Vietnam's airspace and ensuring people's safety during Tet period is of the utmost importance. With a strong sense of responsibility towards Vietnam's security and sovereignty, a soldier sets aside their individual needs and works together in camaraderie to fulfill the duty of protecting the people and completing all assigned tasks.
Airports typically experience high congestions in the days leading up to Tet. On Wednesday, Tân Sơn Nhất International Airport welcomed nearly 135,000 passengers, the highest number since the peak season of the traditional Lunar New Year holiday. Now, according to the schedule, the airport will operate over 900 flights. The check-in counters, security screening area, and waiting lobby are quite crowded. However, there are no visible long queues or passengers without seats. Ho Chi Minh City has creatively presented goodwill gifts to disadvantaged families and low-income workers ahead of the Tet Festival. These might be small gestures, but they mean the world to the workers who haven't been able to take their Tet break.
Every year, Tet break would almost be a luxury for Nguyễn Văn Phie and his teammates due to their hectic schedule. However, this year they have now taken solace in the Ho Chi Minh City Confederation of Labor, preparing a special selection of Tet gifts for them. The gifts were perfectly timed, helping them prepare for the Tet holiday.
As soon as I received those online discounts from the Confederation of Labor, thanks, I went to buy things online. There are so many things I want to buy for my family. I can't even have them delivered to my parents' house in Nhân Trạch District, Đồng Nai Province.
This year, the number of migrant workers who choose to celebrate Tết in Ho Chi Minh City instead of their hometown is forecast to increase fourfold compared to 2023. Data from the Ho Chi Minh City Confederation of Labour showed. Therefore, trade union markets will remain open for over a week.
These products are fresh imports. We will sell them at the best price levels possible to be accessible to everyone.
The ample Tết has also come for more than 15,000 individuals in policy beneficiary households and impoverished families. These low-price markets and additional discount hold great importance to those in need.
I'm happier being able to buy low-price goods than receiving money. I can put them to good use, while all the money will be spent anyway.
Besides consumers' items, families of 21,000 exemplary workers will be able to visit the Tết-themed Đầm Sen Cultural Park free of charge.
I'm going to save this ticket for my family to watch the fireworks display together on New Year's Eve.
These gestures of kindness and care from the city's Confederation of Labour give hundreds of families a meaningful Tết holiday.
Chả or pork paste is a must-have dish on Vietnamese food trays during Tết. Chi Lễ village in a Tân Ước commune, Thanh Oai district, has made a name for itself, producing pork paste as a generational profession. Now, as Tết draws ever nearer, each artisan is immersed in mounting workloads and an unmatched sense of pride in adding distinct flavors to Tết meals everywhere.
Pork paste is not merely a seasonal speciality for residents in this famous craft village. The village is filled with the rich aroma of pork paste and the routine sound of running meat grinders all year round.
Orders of hand-grinding pork paste come rushing in every Tết season. It's a long-established tradition to grind pork with pure manual force. It requires a lot of strength since the wooden mortars are heavy.
This pork paste facility has employed the help of machines to ramp up output during peak production days. On the days leading up to Tết, it normally produces nearly 2 quintals of pork paste, double the usual volume.
We have prepared and delivered last-minute orders from time to time. Consequently, I have made it a habit to finish all preparation for Tết several months earlier.
During Tết season, I have to wake up at 3 a.m. I can only get as much as 3 hours worth of rest.
However, rushing orders does not give rise to sloppy end products. Every batch of pork paste is guaranteed the best craftsmanship and sophistication in the trade.
A good roll of cinnamon pork paste rolls requires 4 different molding phases. The deep frying is even more meticulous to ensure the paste's flavor and firmness. It bounces back when you tap it. That's the test of a qualified roll of pork paste.
During the Tết holidays, I work harder and, therefore, feel more worn out, but I am delighted to be able to contribute our unique flavors to every Tết meal.
Nguyễn Huệ Flower Street for the 2024 Year of the Dragon opened on Wednesday night in Ho Chi Minh City. With the theme Spring Love Tết Reunion, this year's Nguyễn Huệ Flower Street leaves a strong impression with a pair of spectacular winding dragon mascots at the entrance. Each dragon mascot consists of 5 body segments and measures a record-breaking 100 meters in length. 90% of the dragons are made with environmentally friendly materials. The Flower Street also showcased golden trees crafted by talented Vietnamese artisans. The Nguyễn Huệ Flower Street will remain open until February 14th, allowing city residents and tourists to enjoy the beauty of spring flowers. Similarly, Bạch Đằng Flower Street in Da Nang City is open to visitors. Its highlights include the spring dragon made of foam and the Lý Dynasty's dragon statue made of Batang ceramics. Da Nang City has invested over $810,000 in this year's flower decorations and lighting to welcome the new year. The highly anticipated drone performance for Tết holiday Brilliant Thang Long completed its rehearsal on Wednesday night in the West Lake area. With over 2,000 drones, the sky of Hanoi was illuminated with images depicting 1,000 years of the capital's history.
The brilliant Thang drone performance successfully tells the sacred, proud, and the historic story of Thang Long, Hanoi, a land with thousands of years of civilization.
I was pleased with the lighting performance and techniques. All the images of Hanoi were presented clearly and are outstanding. I'm so impressed.
The music for the event was composed by musician Guok Chung, and it was showcased through a modern sound system installed around the West Lake area, which also had live reporting screens.
The performance will boost people's patriotism and enhance the tourism image of the capital city and Vietnam as a whole.
While drone performances are not new to Vietnam, Brilliant Thang Long will showcase the largest ever number of drones in Southeast Asia, with a total of 2,024 drones.
The drones can cover a radius of 150 to 200 meters and can ascend to about 400 to 500 meters, capable of creating large-scale images.
The Brilliant Thang Long performances will officially take place at 11:30 p.m. on Friday, the night of Lunar New Year. Following the performances, fireworks will be launched in multiple locations across Hanoi to welcome the Year of the Dragon.
Coming up next in our world news. Russian economic growth reaches highest level in last decade. An urgent need for peace in Gaza. Now moving on to our world news. According to the Ministry of Economic Development's review, Russian economic growth in 2023 was the highest in the past decade, excluding the post-COVID period. The first estimate from the Russian Federal State Statistics Service indicates that GDP growth reached 3.6% by the end of 2023, exceeding most expectations. This represents a 2.3% increase compared to the level 2 years ago. The ministry predicts that Russian GDP will grow by 2.3% in 2024. The U.S. trade deficit narrowed in 2023 to its smallest level in 3 years, according to government data released on Wednesday. The overall trade gap for the entire year was $773.4 billion, which is 18.7% lower than the $951.2 billion figure from the previous year, as reported by the U.S. Commerce Department. The latest figures indicate a decrease in the goods deficit, with imports of products declining more than exports. On the other hand, there was an increase in exports of services, particularly in the travel sector, resulting in a widening service surplus. Despite resilient consumption last year, analysts anticipate that higher interest rates will dampen consumer spending and put pressure on imports. The Israel-Hamas conflict has now reached its 5th month with no signs of improvement, and it has even started to spread to the surrounding region. The possibility of negotiating a ceasefire seems unlikely, as Israel announced on Tuesday that it has rejected Hamas' proposal for a 135-day ceasefire to bring an end to the conflict. Now, over the past 4 months, this conflict has resulted in the deaths of nearly 28,000 people and has left over 66,000 injured. The people of Gaza are in urgent need of peace at this time.
Deir al-Bala refugee camp, located in Rafah in the southern Gaza Strip, is an area with a high concentration of Palestinians who have been displaced due to the Israel-Hamas conflict. As a result of the war, they are living in dire conditions, experiencing deprivation.
We pray for the war to end. It's been 3 months, and we have nothing: no water, no electricity, and no food.
Many people still hope for a ceasefire agreement to bring an end to the tragedy and suffering. Their greatest desire is to return home, live a peaceful life, and be far away from guns and bullets.
We want a ceasefire agreement. We want to live in safety.
We want to return to our homes. We want safety. We want peace. We want to get out of this situation.
Over half of Gaza's 2.3 million residents are currently residing in the town of Rafah, located on the border with Egypt and its surrounding areas. Despite the ongoing conflict, there is still hope for a ceasefire agreement, which would bring a brighter future that these people are eagerly anticipating.
The Thai government plans to urgently introduce a bill that would prohibit the recreational use of cannabis, announced the health minister on Tuesday. The health minister stated that the new bill will be presented at the cabinet meeting next week. In June 2022, cannabis was removed from the list of banned narcotics, leading to the proliferation of numerous cannabis dispensaries across the country, particularly in Bangkok. This raised concerns among critics who called for a stricter legislation. Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin, who assumed office last August, has consistently expressed his opposition to the recreational use of the drug and emphasized that it should only be permitted for medicinal purposes. Now, before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app at VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel, VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.